Hi, I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies, and today we're here to look at the Topoint Serinity compound bow. It's new for 2018 from Topoint Archery, which is a Chinese company. Now, they've been making bows for a number of years aimed at the bottom market, and there was some question about them copying the Matthews bows. And with that, I want to show you what their bows did look like before I show you this. This here was an N4. It's their still made target bow. Now this cam system is almost the same as a Matthews chill cam system. The axle on this bow I think is about 37 inches, so it's aimed at their target market, so it's aimed at the Chill X. And if I had a Chill X right in front of my hand, I'd grab it, but I don't. But basically the modules are pretty much the same. It's got the same grooves, roller cable guide. Now, off the top of my head, this bow sells around $600. Now, in my opinion, the problem with this bow was to change the draw length, you had to buy modules. And that's a bit of a pain because the number of people who are going to buy this bow, this is a limited market. Basically, it means stocking the modules is hard because let's say in a year, I've sold 2 of these. It's a very small market. The price is good compared to the American bows. Machine limb pockets, machine riser, obviously the harmonic dampeners, which are similar to the Matthews product. And people go and say it's the same, and there's all, you know, comments about copyrights and all that sort of stuff. Now, my thing is, when companies copy other people, that's the way it is. Same with your running shoes and cars, and archery gear is always getting copied. Now this year they produced something different. The Serinity to me is something different, but it's almost something that I've seen before. Now what they've done with this bow this year is a rotating module. Now rotating modules, you say, oh, I've seen those before, PSE own the patent for that, and they do. This is the Serinity. You've got 2 screws, one there and one there. So all you've got to do is rotate those screws to change the draw length. Now it's nicely displayed on the back there. You can see currently it's on B, and it's got this nice big flat spot where the cable hits to basically stop the draw on it. It's got the roller cable guard. It's only got one sight point here. It's got a nice comfortable grip. I think the weight of this bow is probably going to be about 4.2. Metal limb pockets. Now the cam system, Topoint have gone away from the Matthews cam system. You're going to say, well, who have they copied this time? Well, for me, it's always hard because I've been doing this forever and I kind of see things over and over again. The originator of this cam that I think they're using is the Darton cam system. It's also used by PSE. It's also used by Hoyt. The PSE one's a little bit different because it wraps around. So this is more like the Darton cam system. So what it is, it has a yoke system here, which you'll see is, it's like their old yoke system. It's just a donut, which is nice. It matches the alloy. And basically it unrolls evenly from the cam system here. Now with the Evolve, it sort of wraps around so it's unrolling. This is very much like the original Darton yoke system. Now there's probably other companies who use it, but these are the ones I'm familiar with, so I'm just going to stick with those. Overall, the cams look nice. They're nicely finished, nice and shiny. The strings are served where it goes for the rollers so you don't get the wear. It's a pretty nice, the little limb pockets there are like, that's a good system. So as you're winding this out, it doesn't strip out the riser. They've got a little hole there so you can see how much you've wound it out so you don't overwind the limb. It's got a serial number on the side, just about there. Like a carbon string stop. Now, I belong to a few forums on the internet, or I'm on a few forums on the internet, and I hear constantly people complaining about the price of bows. You have a choice. with the price of a bow. You can go, well, I'm going to spend $2,000 on a compound bow, which is the latest, greatest, and they've poured in heaps of money into it. You can buy second hand, or you can buy Chinese. Now, is this as good as the PSE? The PSE Supra? Because to me, that's where this bow is aimed at. Your PSE Supra is a bow, which is behind me on the wall, which is about 1,400 Australian dollars. This bow sells for around 750, almost half price. They're both machine risers, both anodized. Now you can see the limbs are not the compression limbs that you see on the PSE, which are really pulled down. There is a fair bit of tension on them, but not to the extent of the PSE. So this bow, I imagine when I shoot this bow, I'm going to feel a little bit of vibration moving forward. Now you'll see I have not shot this bow, so I'm just saying this is how I'll shoot. Now it won't be too bad because the strings are held in the roller cable guard system, so I'm not going to get the movement of the strings backwards and forwards. But overall, the machining quality of this bow, like if I just jump into spots there, like it's pretty good. Is it as good as the PSE Supra? Is it as good as the Elite anodizing and machining? And I'm going to say probably not, but you know what? It's pretty good, and especially for the price point. The graphics on the limbs look nice. I'm going to guess the cams have got roller bearings in them. Like, it's not a bad thing. So for me, as a consumer, when I see this bow, it makes me think at $750, this is aimed purely at the target market. I think it's 37 inches axle. I'm going to guess the speed of about 330, so it's pretty quick. So if I've got $700 odd, and I'm not in the market of the $2,000 Hoyts or the $2,000 Perform or the $2,000 Matthews, I'm at the cheaper end of town. So I'm coming up against a second-hand bow, which has no warranty. I'm coming up against this Chinese bow, which I think they're going to give about a year warranty with. Or I've got some cheaper options. Now, the other options I have at $700 in the Target lineup are not great. The Win & Win Blast, which is also a nice bow. Machine riser, limbs which are very similar to these, and not a bad cam system on the new Win & Win Blast. But as far as the American Target bows are concerned, the only comparison I'd have to this would be the PSE Stinger at $500, which comes in a whole bunch of pretty colors, compression limbs, 32 inches axle, single cam, shoots at 320 feet per second, and a lifetime warranty. So for me, the question really is, as a beginner or as a person on a budget, do I want to spend $500 on the PSE Stinger and get the lifetime warranty, which goes, if anything happens, like the limbs break, it's going to be covered. You may have to wait for the limbs to be made, but it's going to be covered. As opposed to get a bow, I'm going to say, superior to the Stinger, and that point could be made that it's not superior to the Stinger because the Stinger shoots awesome. Specs wise, superior with machine riser, roller, cable slide, machine limb pockets, faster, longer, bigger brace height. That is superior, but it doesn't have the warranty that comes with the American products. But one thing I've noticed is the Chinese products are getting far, far better with time. And I'm going to go back 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Chinese products were pretty average. To me, this is the biggest step in the Chinese compound bow market to date. And to me, it looks pretty good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put an arrow rest on this bow, put a sight on, and let's go and shoot this thing and let's see how it performs. Okay, so basically I put on a D-loop, a whisker biscuit, and a basic sight. I haven't sighted in, I haven't drawn this bow back. So for me, this is going to be a whole new thing. I haven't even tested the draw length. I really like the way to adjust the draw length, the little Allen key there fits into these little round holes. Basically, it's going to stop movement. If that Allen key comes loose, it's actually in a slot, so it can't rotate. I really like that feature of the cam there and there. I'm hoping I can zoom in on it, just there. You can see that little hole, so they basically fit into a little hole, so it can't come, when I say it can't come loose, it can obviously come loose, but if it does come loose, it's not going to slip around. Really like that feature. I like the cams. I like the way this bow looks. Now the grip. Let's just talk about the grip. Now with past bows from Topoint, there are obviously, when I say copies of Matthews grips. They used a focus grip and they rounded off like Matthews did. They've gone away from that with this bow. This bow is very much, the grip feels very much like a PSE grip. You can see it's kind of square here. It's very comfortable. To me, it's a little bit narrower than the PSE shoot down, the PSE Supra. It's a slightly narrower grip than that. It's thicker than the PSE Decree grip, thicker than the Elite grip, thicker than the Hoyt grip. So it's kind of a, it's down from PSE and up from a Hoyt in thickness, but it's a very, very comfortable grip. And if you've used an aftermarket grip, like the Shrewd, I'm going to say Shrewd, and there's a couple other companies, it feels very much like that to hold on to. So it's a very comfortable bow. Now you notice with the balance of this bow, this is a target bow, there's no balance on it. And that's because you're going to fit a stabilizer down the front. But overall, I like the look of it. So let's see if this bow blows up on my first draw. Now one thing about bow companies is their service. And people are going to say, well, I've been waiting 3 months for a set of limbs. Yeah, you have. But they've got to be made, and PSE is busy, or whichever company is busy, as long as you can get them. Now with this company, Topoint, I actually had a problem with the roller slides bending on a 70-pound bow. Now all their cable slides were identical. So I said to them, they're actually bending. What can you do? And they said, oh, we don't know. Anyway, they made a whole, when I say a whole new bunch for me, they sent me 6 and they reinforced them. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like, that took them, I'm going to say 5 to 6 weeks to do, but it was pretty quick. And I was very, very happy with that service. From the time I ordered these bows from Topoint, I guess I'm waiting 6 weeks, 5 weeks. They're not too bad as far as time. Now, with me, I'll do a fair bit of container shipments into Australia to keep my costs down. But this one I flew in. I like the pattern. I think the wind would go through this nicely. In fact, the pattern's almost like the N4 one from Topoint. So it's kind of nice. So let's see what it draws like. Now this is a 60-pound bow, and hopefully it's set on 29. So let's see how this performs. So at the start, it's pretty solid. It feels like all the rest of the bows to start with. It's a solid draw cycle, so it's going to feel like a fast bow to start with. So solid, 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 valley, valley, stop. So I'm going to just let this down. So the valley doesn't suddenly just drop off like, I'm going to say, the Matthews Hellon X. It's a good, so it peaks and then it's a slow drop off. The valley is very short, and that's how you're getting your speed out of this bow. Doesn't want to rip out of my, doesn't want to rip my shoulder blade off if I let down this bow. So drawing, 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 valley there, and I'm going to let this thing down. The wall is solid as, it's not moving anywhere. I'm going to let this down. It does. It's a gradual build up back to the valley over a short period of time, but it's not one of those things that wants to fly forward on you. So overall, the draw cycle is pretty good. I like the draw cycle. Is it better than the? Is it better than the Chill, which is the Matthews, which is the one before this? Now, to me, that cam cycle was extremely good, very friendly for the user. But this to me is going to be faster. The new Evolve that you see on the shoot down is a great cam system. And I had a guy in today from the country, and he tried out every bow in my shop, all the target bows, and he basically picked that bow. He picked a shoot down. This cam system, in my opinion, is very, very good. Is it better than the Win and Win? Like, for me, it's hard as far as, is it better? It's almost hard to pick the difference. I think I prefer this cam system over the Win and Win cam system. Although the Win and Win cam system allows you to adjust your let off from a 60% let off to 80%, you cannot do that with this bow. It's set. But I don't mind it. Overall, the bow feels great to shoot and shoot to draw back. So I'm going to take a shot this time. I don't have my sight seeing, so this literal shot could go anywhere. I've just bolted the sight onto the bow. Now in the shot overall, there is more vibration. Okay, it's not even close in vibration to the shoot down. It's not even close to the Stinger in vibration. And that's because you don't have these compression limbs pulling it down, reflecting, you know, basically pulling it up. To me, it kind of feels more like your Hoyt bows with the non-compression limbs. So the bows which the limbs are more forward facing, so the Prevail, the Podium, it kind of feels like that as far as the vibration after the shot. And people are going to say, oh, that's not fair, you're blasting Hoyt. I'm just giving my opinion on what I think the bow feels like to shoot. Where if I shoot the Perform 3D, which I've been shooting recently, that thing is just dead in your hand. There's no movement. It's good. I don't think from the shot I felt a left and right movement after the shot, but let's just take another one and let's see how it is. Now see, I don't get any left to right movement. I get a little bit of that because the bow's not balanced in your hand. So when I shoot, I'm getting that happening. Now to me, the string is in the center of the D-loop's in the center between the cams, and this is the actual center of the bow here. So because my hand's lower, I'm getting that pushing up motion. So I'm not getting the balance of a Perform, even though Perform is in the center. But Stabilizer will get rid of that. So just how I feel this bow is to shoot, I feel if I shot this bow, I'd shoot really, really well. And as far as the Chinese bows are concerned, to me, this is the best Chinese bow made to date. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of other companies who make them, but to me, I like this bow the best. Now, comparing it to other bows I've shot, I really like this bow. This bow feels nice in the hand. I like the colors. It comes in a whole heap of colors. Like, I think, if I guess the number wrong, maybe 10 to 12 colors it comes in. It comes in blue, teal, red, I think a yellow, I think they do a pink, green. They do heaps of colors. I like the orange. I thought the orange looked good. It reminded me of a bow I used to have. But it feels really nice to shoot. It feels nice to aim. It's just a nice bow overall. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go back to 20 meters, and we're going to see what sort of group I can shoot at 20 meters with this bow, with this setup, which is what I normally do. And then if I get a second, we can put it through the chronograph and see how it goes. Thank you. Okay, so I'm back here at 18 meters. I've shot one shot to sight this bow in. And the arrow went low on the 8, but I'm pretty comfortable with that because I've got a 5-pin sight, so I'm just going to aim at the second pin and I should go somewhere in the middle. Now, the first thing when I do videos and stuff, first thing you're going to get is people talk about, you know, copying and, you know, costs of bows and what things should cost and all that. Now, for me, things cost what they cost. I think a $2,000 bow is super cheap. I mean, a lawyer charges you $1,000 an hour, 2 hours of their time versus the cost of making a bow. There's no comparison. PSE employ, you know, 6 engineers, and they're going to say they employ 7, whatever they employ. They've got a whole team of sales staff, they've got office staff, they've got finance people, they've got people out there machining, you know, the machine that makes the bows $1 million. To me, the bows, archery gear in general, is extremely cheap. So when I see a product like this come out of China, China's cheap. And it's why we don't make cars in Australia anymore. Basically, we priced ourselves out of the market. I'm not saying PSC has priced themselves out of the market or Hoyt have priced themselves out of the market. It's just competition comes from a whole heap of spots, and it's really, really hard for manufacturers to compete. You know, PSC doesn't compete against China, it doesn't compete, it competes against everyone. You know, there's, back in the day when PSC started, there might have been 4 bow manufacturers. Now there's 50, 60 bow manufacturers. It's a tough game, and pricing is extremely sensitive for consumers. And this product is just another product for consumers to consider when purchasing a new bow. Now I'm going to say, if you're a target archer and you shoot competitions, the difference between $700 and a $2,000 bow may not be an issue for you, because if you travel to a tournament, if you attend a nationals, if you attend overseas shoots, $1,000 to you probably is not a big deal. But the majority of my customers are recreational shooters who shoot in their backyard once in a while, and they may have a target set up and they shoot in their backyard. That's where a bow like this becomes a consideration versus a $2,000 bow versus a $500 bow versus the $200 bow from China. That's where this bow comes into the market. So let's shoot some arrows. Now, one thing I'm going to say is I started shooting when I was a kid, when I was about 12, 13. I won the Australian Championship when I was 14, and I shot a 1300 score, which was the highest score shot in Australia to that date by a junior. Today, kids exceed that score by a long margin. Bows have come an extremely long way since the dark ages, since 1984. Arrows have come a long way. Releases have come a long way. I'm not making an excuse for it, but what I'm saying is, basically, if you're a good shot, it doesn't really matter on the equipment that much. Like today, that score is still a good score for kids to shoot. 1300 is still a good score to shoot, and there's going to be kids who shoot 1400. But there's not that many of them. There's only 1 or 2. So it still gets back. The difference between a $500 bow and a $2,000 bow is very, very limited in the score that you will shoot. The difference is minute. However, at the top level, the difference between the winners and the losers is very, very tight, and that's where people will spend the extra money to try and get a bow which is a little bit better made, higher quality, a little bit more research put into it, and that's what you're paying for. I really, really like the way this bow draws. I like the way it holds. I like the anchor. I don't mind the shot. I think with stabilizers, this bow would be a different bow. But to me, it's super easy to shoot. just really, really comfortable. It's a really nice product. Now, if I was poor like I was when I was a kid and I was earning my $2 an hour or $1 an hour for working, a $2,000 bow wouldn't be an option for me. So it's not even a thing of consideration. So my first bow was $500 and it was 2 years salary for me. So that's where this sort of bow comes into its own. For someone who's, you know, money is tight for, or someone who doesn't shoot a lot. Overall though, this is a really good bow to shoot. Nice. Now, question, the strings. I see so much stuff about string quality and whether it's made by this company or that company. Like, just go and shoot the bow. Don't worry about stuff. Don't put $200 worth of new strings on a bow. You know, you're just not going to shoot any better. And anyone who says they shoot better with a different set of strings on is honestly lying. And you know, people are going to say, no, I shoot heaps better with this string. Show me your scores before and after, and then tell me about it. I think those arrows, and I can't see them that well, but I can see the shadow and they all look in the 10, and obviously I've got a camera right up at the target, but looks pretty good without a stabilizer and whisker biscuit and a 5-pin hunting sight from here. Whoa. I wobbled around a bit that time. But honestly, this bow is really nice to shoot. The draw length's spot on. Alright, let's just go down to the target and have a look. Up here at the target, this is my group 18 meters. So, 5-pin hunting sight. That whisker biscuit, every arrow is in the gold in the 10 except for that one, which is a 9. So I'm going to say that is one of my better groups. Now I can't get my fingers, I can actually get my fingers right the way around, which is always a test for me at 18 meters. I shot extremely well with the Stinger when I did the review on the Stinger, and go and check that. But to me, that is one of the better groups I've shot. And I'm going to go back to this whole thing. There are so many people at archery clubs who put so much money into their gear and their scores, I'm going to say, are average, and that's no disrespect to them. I suppose they get so caught up in the equipment about you need a blade rest, you need a drop away arrow rest, you need this, you need that. Just go and shoot. That score, what I've just shot then with that bow, at my archery club I belong to, which is Adelaide Archery Club, would win me the club championship. No respect to other people, no disrespect to anyone in my club, because there's a whole bunch of good shooters. But that there is a big score at an indoor score. Even in the state championship, those arrows there, big score. You're going to do really well with a basic bow and a 5-pin hunting sight, D-loop, no peep sight. So that always go on about the archer and how well they're shooting. The bow needs to be set up, but honestly I spent 2 minutes setting that bow up. There's no paper tuning, no nothing. So we're going to shoot it through the chronograph now and see what sort of speed we get. I feel this bow's pretty quick. It feels like a quick bow. It draws like a quick bow. So let's go and see what sort of speed we do get out of it. But overall, so when you test a bow and you feel shock, this bow's got some shock in it. There's no resonance in the shot afterwards, so it's not like humming after the shot. But it definitely jumps out of my hand when it shoots and jumps upwards, but it doesn't affect the accuracy. So with the Perform, that just sits in my hand dead when I shoot. I suppose what I'm saying, this compared to the Perform, which is a $2,100 bow, and you know, not the Perform feels heaps better shoot, heaps. There's no comparison in my mind, but the results speak for themselves, and to me this bow feels really nice to shoot. So we're going to go outside now, as I said before, we're going to shoot. So we're outside to chronograph the Topoint Serinity. Now the arrows I'm using are gold tip velocity with a 90 grain point. They weigh 330 grains. They're a 400 spined arrow with a 90 grain point by the pin nocks. So the bow set at 60 pounds at 29 inches. .271. Now for me, that's not fast. So I use these arrows for all my tests. The fast bows are around 300. So if I compare it to the other target bows, the fast ones are shooting around 300. So this is definitely down on speed. So IBO wise, you'd have to compare my review on the Stinger. I'm gonna guess this is about a 320 feet per second bow. .272. So overall the Topoint Serinity shot at 271 and 272 speed. Now that's not fast on the scheme of new target bows. So when you compare it to the Perform, the shoot down from PSE, the Matthews, Halon, the TRX, the new Hoyt Prevail, those bows are shooting in excess of 300 feet per second. So this is definitely slower, but it's an easy bow to shoot, and you can see from the groups for target shooting, which is what this bow is designed for, it was an easy bow to shoot, easy bow to draw, easy bow to lock in to the draw stop. So overall, I think the build quality is pretty good. As far as I don't have any questions with it, I think the design's good, and I think Topoint have really hit on a win with this bow. Now, do I expect to sell many of them? No, I don't. But it's got nothing to do with the product at all. It's because people at a target club will generally shoot what the top shooter's shooting, which will be one of the big brand name bows, and recreational shooters will generally shoot something shorter, more hunting like, and generally cheaper. So to me, this bow I may only sell 2, 3, 4 or 5 of these a year. But overall, this bow interested me as far as a new design from the company. It's a new look, and I think it looks pretty good. And I think to me, it's far better than what they've produced in the past. So I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. The more you shoot, the better you'll shoot. Thank you. Bye.